Recent star of Broadway's Blood Brothers. Offstage, she works for women's rights against domestic violence. She is still woman. Her roar is still heard, louder than ever. Helen Reddy, nice to see you.
Hi, Roger.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I saw you. You said you came to this country in '66.
That's right.
And so we met in '67.
Mm-hmm.
And what were you singing in those days? I think you had the Jesus Christ Superstar song out.
That was my first hit, but that was not until 1971, I think.
So you were just starting out in the U.S. at that time?
Yes.
Were you singing? You came from a show business family, though, in Australia, right?
Third generation I am, yes.
Yeah. Why didn't you just stay there and be a big star?
I always wanted to come to America.
Did you?
Always. Even from the time I was a tiny little girl, I was always exposed. You know, we used to go to the movies.
Yeah.
We used to see at least two double features a week. So
I know. I used to go every
yeah.
Saturday. It was a dime in those days, but.
And so I was always exposed to American films. We had American magazines in the house because my parents were in show business. They always had a lot of American friends. And I just had a feeling it was where I belonged artistically.
What else appealed to you about America?
Oh, a lot of things. Actually, I liked American women. They were very poised.
Poised?
Yes, very, very self-confident. And I thought, you know, that's the kind of woman I want to be when I grow up.
They're tough. American women are tougher than they look. No,
you say
they are
tough, I say poised.
No, well, no, they are tough. They are tough. They are, well, I don't know. You know, they say the steel magnolias from the South. You know, they've got this sweet Southern accent, but they're like linebackers when you get in a real clinch with them. You know what I mean? Well, not that kind of a clinch, but I Am Woman. Did it change your life, that song? Or not at the time?
Well,
because everybody still talks about that song. Everybody plays that song.
I know.
And everybody thinks you're like this hardcore feminist. And
I've done so many other things. I've had bigger hits. I mean, it's just, for some reason, that is the
Delta
one that
Dawn
really sticks.
Yeah.
And
isn't that because the movement captured the song in a sense?
It was the right song at the right time.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not have been inspired to write it if I had not been involved in the women's movement.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know.
What is the women's movement? I mean, we hear that today, and you know, I've had various feminists on the show, and they seem to come from different places. There are some who are seem perfectly normal to me. Like they wouldn't mind if I opened the door for them. They wouldn't hit me. They wouldn't abuse me.
This
if I
is
said
normal.
That's
okay.
normal.
All right.
I mean, they seem normal to me. There are some that are just mildly hostile. There are some that are not hostile at all, but just have a point of view and believe that women have not been treated equally, and I think that's fair. And there are some who are sort of unarmed Lorena Bobbitts, you know, I mean, they're really hostile. Are they all part of the women's movement, or?
I don't know. I mean, there is no women's movement per se, in terms of a political party. I mean, there was definitely a
Gloria
moment.
Steinem thinks she's leading one.
Oh, I don't think she does.
Oh.
I think she's definitely been an influence, and I like Gloria very much.
I know
so
Gloria, and
tread
she's
carefully there.
No, I know Gloria. I've known
All
Gloria
right.
a long time, and she's intellectually sound. She's dedicated her life to rights of people, and I think sincerely so. She doesn't talk very much about herself personally. She talks as a lot of people in movements do, and this is true of abortion. Gun rights. I mean, if you talk to people who are in any movement, they have the rap down. They tell you sort of the philosophical agenda of the movement, but they don't tell you too much about themselves and why they're driven this way. Am I right? Why are you involved in women's rights? Why?
Because I'm a woman.
No, but no. There's some personal life there. You must have had some reason.
Oh, of course. I don't. It was something that was always there because I can remember, even as a small child, I can remember being 4 years old and being offended by sexist material in the show that I was in.
Oh, that's interesting.
So
because they did girly jokes, and
Oh,
there was like
yes,
vaudeville, and everything
of
was
course,
it
yes.
like vaudeville, and we had burlesque when I was a.
Exactly. Well, that's the era that I grew up in. And for me to have been offended at such a young age, and I remember my sister saying to me, well, what bothers you about it? And I couldn't answer her, of course, at that age. Now I could. But I have just always felt very strongly that women should be treated with dignity and respect.
I agree with you. I think that we always thought they should be on a pedestal, and we should treat them with great dignity and respect. And frankly, if we didn't, we were treated quite badly. If we
Well,
didn't
I'd pass on the pedestal, thanks anyhow, Roger.
Well,
but
I know, but
dignity
that's
and
how we
respect,
were brought
yes.
up. I'm saying my generation was brought up that way. What about the fact that men in American television are all, in sitcoms or dramatic series, all morons? In other words, the woman is the wise, intelligent,
Really?
thoughtful
See,
person.
I don't watch the sitcoms.
And the man is a boob. He's like Dagwood. He's an idiot.
Well, the last time I checked, it was all children being raised by their fathers because the mothers were either dead or absent or...
No, all of these series that had the father never had a job, Ozzie and Harriet. Ozzie never went to work. Nobody ever knew what he did. He literally hung around the house. You got Major Dad, and the guy's kind of a boob. All these guys are idiots. I think we need a male rights movement for sitcoms to reestablish the male authority in the home.
Well, I think you're in the perfect position to start one, Roger.
No, I don't care. But do you think people are too sensitive about, are we getting into a world of political correctness? Some people are worried that we're losing our freedom of speech because people don't want to say things because they're afraid they might offend somebody. Does that trouble you?
It may be inhibiting, but I think words, it depends what kind of power we give to certain words. I mean, look at the slur terms and the way they've changed over the years. I mean, we're going back now to words that would have been considered very insulting when I was a kid. Now they're okay again. I mean, 10 years from now, it may be something else again. I think there will always be prejudiced people, and they will always inject certain meanings into any word. I really don't. It's the intent. It's not the actual words.
Do you think Archie Bunker on television advanced the cause of legitimate discussion of bigotry, or in fact contributed to it?
Well, that's a very difficult question for me to answer. I'm sure there were a lot of people out there, men out there, who really related to Archie and said, "Boy, he's a guy.
He's my kind of guy.
He's my kind of guy. Therefore, I must be all right." But I think there were other people also who saw things that they might have seen in another setting and accepted, but they saw it in that television situation. They went, "Whoa, wait a minute, that's not right."
Did it raise to the surface the fact that a lot of people use these words and in fact bring it out in the open, so to speak? My friend Charles Grodin says that the problem with Archie Bunker is that he was a lovable bigot, and bigots should not be made lovable. Interesting philosophy.
Well, one is all black and white. I mean, there are always shades. I mean, I never heard a racist remark until I was 18. And I was very surprised when I did hear it because it came from someone I had thought up until then was normal. So...
Do you think people who make racist remarks are not normal? Most people would say that most people, that was a norm in our country. I mean, it's interesting to watch people on television and under oath say they've never used racial slurs. I mean, I think that a lot of those people do, don't they?
Well, see, I didn't grow up in America. I didn't,
okay.
I didn't come here until I was 24.
But your country also didn't let blacks into their country.
We've had, believe me, I take no pride in what our immigration
they
policy
did not
was.
let, the immigration policy was if you were black, you didn't get off the boat.
Well, actually, it was more Asian. They were more anti-Asian because of the gold rush and slave labor and what have you. Oh, yes, definitely, very much so.
Mm-hmm. Were you abused in marital relationships?
My first husband was abusive, but I didn't stay with him very long.
Did you punch back, or did you leave?
I really don't. I left. Yes, I left.
Mm-hmm. Did that, oh, we got to take a break. I want to come back and talk to you about that a little bit because it's a big subject, and I think it's just coming to the forefront. And I worry a little bit because somebody said that a lot of these people on the talk shows are making up their tales when in fact there are people out there who have suffered really. And I want to talk to you about how we deal with that. Also, we're on the air live tonight. If you have a question for Helen Reddy, you can give us a call at 1-800-988-TALK and join the conversation. We'll be right back.
I can only give you love that lasts forever, and a promise to be near each time you call. And the only heart I own for you and you alone, that's all.
Well, you can't mistake that voice. That's Helen Reddy. Do you have a CD out on Standards, or how do I get that? Was that on a CD? Or
That actually is on a CD, but it's on my own label, and it's not available in record stores, but I'll call my office and have them send you one.
Please do. That is great. I love that sound.
Okay.
Is that, you sing, you know, everybody has his own stamp, I guess, but there's sort of a lot of mid-range singers that you can't tell one from the other. Where did you get that sound? Your parents sing like that? Your mother sing like that? Or your grandmother? Or is there
Well, they were all musical.
They were.
You know, everybody in the family was musical, but I think it's something unique. It's just the way your throat is shaped, I guess. I mean, you know, Frank Sinatra sings one note. You know it's Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's not something that you can learn or train. Right. It's just a genetic accident.
Going back now to the question of abuse, because are we in a world where we've cheapened the real abuse that goes on in the world because everybody's claiming to be abused? I mean, everybody I see on talk shows, there are now 17 or 18 talk shows. And every day.
Stop watching them, Roger.
No, I don't watch all of them because I can't, but I'm starting to see the same people show up on the same shows, only
yes.
This time they're abused, and the next time they're a pickpocket, and then the next time they're a hairstylist. I mean,
I suspect a lot of them make it up.
Just go around from show to show being different. You think they do make it up?
I really do.
Yeah.
I think there are people who, you know, will do anything to be on television, will say and do anything.
What do people do who are in an abusive relationship? They say, leave. Nicole Simpson left.
Well, I don't want to get into the middle of that one.
No, I'm not going to get you in the middle of it,
Okay.
but I mean, she did leave,
Yes.
and it didn't work out for her. So if someone were to ask you, should you leave an abusive relationship, and you said yes, and she got killed.
Well, you're assuming that her ex-husband killed her.
Well, there's blood all over Brentwood, Helen. I'm not making casting
Okay.
any aspersions, but
All right,
the statistical probability of cutting your finger on the same night your wife is butchered within 15 minutes of each other is fairly, the
I'm gonna
statistical,
wait till the end of the
I
trial.
will wait too, but the statistical probability of that, and having blood in the driveway, in the car, up the tree, in the house, through the bathroom in Chicago, so it's statistically it's difficult, wouldn't you say?
I'm not on the jury.
Which has nothing to do with the fact that he's going to walk, probably. That's a different issue because we have a bunch of clowns in our judicial system. But
I mean, if you're saying, you know, women should stay in abusive relationships because they'll be killed if they leave.
no, what I'm saying is that is there a way, if you're in an abusive relationship, that you can determine whether it's a dangerous one? And steps can be taken beyond just leaving. I mean, are there shelters? Should you go to a friend?
There are shelters.
Should you go to the police?
There are more shelters for battered and abused animals than there are for battered and abused women in this country.
Is that true?
That's true. We're very short on shelters. We're very short on help. There are changes being made. Certainly, I think police are more aware now.
Are they more sensitive?
I think they're being given training to make them more sensitive, to make them more aware of domestic abuse. And I think we're also moving away from this whole concept of the wife being a piece of property that the man has the right to abuse if he feels like it.
What did you think of O.J.'s statements when he said he was abused? I mean, yesterday they played the tape on hard copy of the police saying, "Did you hit your wife?" And he said, "She hit me, man." Does that happen very often?
I've
never heard of it.
I can't comment on that.
I've never heard of that, though. Have you?
Of both of them being
No,
violent?
of the woman just beating the heck out of the man all the time. You ever heard of that? I never heard
yes,
of that.
I've heard of it.
Have you?
I've heard of it, yes.
I think I dated her once, whoever that was. We have a call here, Katie from Illinois. Katie?
Yes.
Hi, you're on the line with Helen Reddy.
Hello, Helen.
Hi, Katie. How are you?
I'm better than I have been in a long time.
Well, that's good.
I was a battered and abused wife over 20 years ago. And at that time, we didn't have anything that they have now. And I just say, more power to us.
Did you leave the relationship?
It took me 4 years to leave it, but I finally left it, yes.
And I'm taking a wild guess here, but I hear in your voice you are not over it. It had
No,
you did some permanent damage.
It's something that stays with you forever. I mean,
What?
if you're physically and mentally abused, it stays with you. And at that time, the police laughed at you. It was like domestic violence was like, ha 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 ha, it's a big joke, and they walked out.
How are you today? Are you remarried or?
No, I'm divorced again, and I'm in a very positive relationship with somebody that appreciates me for who and what I am.
Good.
Okay,
But
well
glad
that's.
to hear
it took a long time to get over that.
All
Well,
right.
thank you for calling in.
Well, thank
God
you.
bless.
And hang in there, Helen.
You too, babe.
That's very interesting. Did you hear that in her voice too? I mean, there obviously was some permanent damage when she talked about it. You could hear her. It was painful just to say the words, I think.
It is very painful, but I think ultimately you do reach a place of forgiveness.
Do you really?
Yes, I think so.
Is that Christianity? Because the anchor for
I think
forgiveness-
it's, well, I think it
Do you
goes beyond
forgive the people who did it to
Christianity.
you?
I think you have to. I think you have to. If you want to live a long life and be happy, you must forgive. I think it's the key to mental health.
Absolutely. You know, it's very interesting because I've been aware of that for a long time. It really is true. I mean, I've forgiven and hope to be forgiven for everything that I've done because you really have to. It helps you.
It's
It may or may
cleansing,
not help the
yes.
other person. We have to take a break. Helen Reddy's here. Join the conversation. We'll be back.
Delta Dawn, what's that flower you have on? Could it be a faded rose from days gone by?
always on your side when others are unfair. And tell me who will never let you down in any situation, who will always see you get your share. And that's why I am a best friend to myself, and I take me out whenever I...
That was Linda Blair in that scene.
Yeah.
From 1975?
Uh-huh.
I'll be darned. You make a pretty good nun, actually.
Thank you.
I mean,
Yes.
yeah.
I don't think
Oh,
there's
you look
much
pretty
danger
sexy.
of that
I mean,
happening, but
yeah, you actually look pretty sexy as a nun.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, very good. Did nuns wear that much lipstick? I never saw a nun with that much lipstick on, but
only when they were on that particular plane, singing to Linda Blair.
sing, that was pre. What was that show? That movie she did?
The Exorcist?
Exorcist.
No, it was after The Exorcist.
It was after
yes.
It was. Okay. I'm stunned by this thing you just told us, that there are more shelters for animals than people. How can that happen? Are you an activist? I mean, do you get up every morning and march for a cause, put on a little ribbon and do all that stuff?
No,
or you
no,
like
no.
to hang around the house and just kind of hang out and...
I get me through the day.
Do you?
That's
Good.
That's a pretty big task.
That's a big deal, huh?
But no, from time to time I have, traveled across the country and spoken and tried to raise money for shelters.
Do you get, I'm sure the women's causes call you all the time to sort of be this spokesman and so on. Do you do that? Do you sort of have to believe what their cause is? I mean, do you study it, or do you just have your own philosophy of what you're for and will speak for those things? In other words, when I hear Helen Reddy talk about women's rights, is that a specific group's idea, or is that your idea?
Oh, it depends on the organization. I mean, I'm not going to blindly show up somewhere. It's usually women's shelters, something to do with raising money for a women's cause. Sometimes it's children. But, I am committed to women and children. But my first thing, of course, is earning a living.
Yeah. Well, you don't have anything to donate, and you can't raise any money, and you can't get to the fundraiser if you don't make a buck, right?
You got that right.
Yeah. So you do a lot of shows. I mean, you go around and perform for corporations or shows. You work at Atlantic City or
Yes,
places
I do.
like that?
Yes, I do. I do symphony dates. I do, concert tours with my own band.
These women's shelters, how long does a woman stay in those shelters? What's provided for her, and what happens to her when she gets out? I mean, if she gets out, she just got to go home to this guy's beating her up again.
No, it varies. It varies from shelter to shelter. Some of them, because of the occupancy rules, they can only stay for a certain amount of time. Then they may go into a halfway house. Their biggest thing really is because most of these women walk out of the house with the clothes they've got on, and they have to start up an entire new household. So one of the big things they need is pots and pans and kitchen equipment. When I was in Hong Kong a while back, I was able to get the hotel that I was staying at to donate a lot of sheets and towels and soap and shampoo and that sort of thing to the shelter for women who were going out on their own and needed supplies.
Okay, let's take another phone call from the great state of Florida, my second home. Harriet, you're on the line with Helen Reddy.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how you doing?
Good. I was sort of surprised to see Helen on the show because I've not seen her in a while, and I was wondering what had happened to her, and I want to know...
She was in New York on Broadway.
Oh,
right?
well,
That's right.
I'm in Florida, so
Well,
that
see?
doesn't work. I was just wondering if you were going to release any new CDs or go on a concert tour.
No plans to record in the immediate future, and I'm always going out doing dates. I don't think I have anything coming up in Florida.
Can a good singer like you get a recording contract today because so many of these people that you can't understand have contracts? I mean, there's music being put out there today that is sort of assault music, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's an attacking sound. It also is not musical. It's another problem with it.
Well, I know a lot of teenagers that argue with you
No,
on that
well, listen,
one.
I went through that with a kid once. I mean, but it is an assault. I mean, it's like a jackhammer, some of this stuff. And the question is, wouldn't a record company rather sign a so-called artist who nobody can understand, but they can control the publishing rights rather than record a good singer doing a good song?
I don't know. I'm not in the decision-making loop, but there are about 5 record companies who control the recording industry worldwide.
Do they put out any good singers like you today? Is anybody? Tony
Of course
Bennett,
they do.
Tony Bennett is
yeah.
coming, but Tony Bennett, yeah.
There are some wonderful singers. I mean, you know, I love Anita Baker,
Oh yeah, Anita Baker.
Baja. I like some of Tony Braxton's stuff. There's a lot of.
What do you think accounts for Tony Bennett coming back? I mean, I worked with Tony when he was 80, and that was 40 years ago. I mean, the guy's 125, and he looks like he looks 43. He looks great. He sounds the same.
I think it's wonderful. I
It
think
is
it's
great.
wonderful, and his son is managing him. You know.
Is that right?
Yes, yes.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, I think it's great.
His girlfriend sat next to me on a plane, and she was in bobby socks. I mean, no, I'm serious.
Are you jealous, Roger?
I was jealous. I was very upset. I mean, she was gorgeous. And no, the guy's having a second childhood. Tony, whatever you're doing, please pass it around.